Ever wonder why some people eat seemingly whatever they want and still don't gain weight? What's their secret? Now, when you saw this title, you probably asked yourself, can I really increase my metabolism that easily? Does it work for everyone? And how quick are the results? Now, not only am I going to answer these questions for you, but I'll also take you through proven strategies that have worked for over 500 clients like my client Tom, who lost 53 pounds at 58 years old. Now, with over 5 years of starting my fitness coaching company, defaultkings.com, I have distilled the essence of increasing your metabolism into 3 simple, actionable steps. And because I want you to win, I'll share tips I only shared with clients that are backed by the latest research and years of coaching experience. First off, let's debunk this myth. The older you are, the slower your metabolic rate. Now, we'll go back to Tom, who lost 53 pounds in 7 months at 58 years old. Now, it is true that when they test the speed of people's metabolisms, as people get older, they're shown to have slower metabolisms. But it's not the age itself that's slowing down your metabolism. It's because as people get older, they tend to decrease their activity levels. And as you age, muscle atrophy or muscle loss starts to set in. So it's not that people's metabolisms are slowing down as they age. It's that people are moving less and losing muscle. Now, understanding what makes up your metabolism is the first step to speeding up your metabolism. Now, your metabolism is the easy way of saying your TDEE. Your TDEE stands for your total daily energy expenditure, or in other words, how many calories you burn throughout the day. If you have a faster metabolism, you burn more calories throughout the day. If you have a slower metabolism, you burn less calories throughout the day. Now, your TDEE, your total daily energy expenditure, the amount of calories that you burn throughout the day, your metabolism is made up of 4 different factors. Factor number 1 is your BMR, your basal metabolic rate. This is also known as your mere existence calories, or just how many calories your body would burn if all you did all day was wake up and stay in bed. This is essentially the bare minimum calories that your body needs to survive. Your TDEE is also made up of your NEAT, your NAT, or your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which means the amount of calories that you burn when you're not exercising. So the calories that I'm burning as I'm moving my hands here, recording this video, the calories that you're burning as you're sitting here watching this video, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. It's also composed of your TEF, or your thermic effect of food. This is how many calories your body burns just by digesting food. Because yes, it actually requires energy. It requires calories to digest food. And so if you eat more food that's hard to digest, your body burns more calories. And if you eat less food that's easier to digest, your body burns less calories. And last but not least, your TDEE, or metabolism, if you haven't noticed, I'm going to use those terms interchangeably here, is composed of your EAT, or your exercise activity thermogenesis. This is how many extra calories you burn throughout the day when you actually do dedicated exercise. So how many calories does your weightlifting session burn? How many calories does your jiu-jitsu session burn? Now, these 4 things are what make up your metabolism. And if you want to increase your metabolism, you can increase one of these 4 things. You can increase your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, by simply having more muscle mass, because the more muscle mass you have, the more calories you burn at rest, the more calories you burn 24/7. Your lean muscle tissue is the most metabolically active tissue on your body, which means that your muscle, yes, your muscle, like your biceps, your pecs, your quads, your muscle burns more calories than anything else on your body. So if you have more muscle, your BMR will go up. You'll burn more calories even if you don't do any extra activity. You can increase your NEAT, or your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. You can do this by parking further in the parking lot at the grocery store, so you have a longer walk when you're walking into the grocery store. You can increase your TEF, how many calories you're burning while you're digesting food, simply by eating more protein, because protein is the hardest food for your gut to digest, which means that it takes more energy for your gut to digest protein, which doesn't just mean that you stay fuller longer, but it also means that you burn more calories by eating more protein. Or you can increase your EAT, your exercise activity thermogenesis. You can do this by training more intensely when you lift weights, or adding in cardio. If you increase any of those 4 factors, your metabolism is going to go up. For example, my client Tom, who lost 53 pounds at 58 years old, also walked over 10,000 steps a day. So he increased his EAT, his exercise activity thermogenesis, the amount of calories that he was burning in exercise, by adding in these daily walks. And when he increased his EAT, his metabolism shot up, and he lost 53 pounds. By the way, if you want results like Tom, we help Christian entrepreneurs lose 10 to 30 pounds of fat in 12 weeks and teach them how to keep it off. If you want to learn more, click the link in the description of the video. That'll take you to defaultkings.com. Now, like we just touched on, one of the secrets here to boosting your metabolism is going to be cutting out a bunch of foods that you love, but it's going to be about incorporating metabolism boosting foods that nourish and energize your body. I'm not going to go on some V-shred rant here where I tell you that I discovered this magic pepper that indigenous tribes have been using for decades to stay lean. That's not true. That's a bunch of BS. But what I am going to tell you is that if you increase your protein intake, because protein takes the most work for your gut to digest, Your body burns more calories when it digests protein compared to when it digests any other food. So if you eat more protein, you'll burn more calories. Your increased protein can come from lean meats like chicken, rice, pork, beef, fish, steak. And on top of that, if you eat more protein, you're gonna have more of the actual nourishment that your body needs to build and hold on to lean muscle mass, even as you age. So because you'll have more muscle, your BMR, the amount of calories that your body burns at rest, is going to shoot through the roof. So instead of thinking you have to starve and over restrict yourself, think about increasing your protein intake. And on the contrary, if you restrict yourself too much and starve yourself with something like a crash diet or intermittent fasting, you'll probably lose some weight short term, but then end up crashing your metabolism. One of the first clients that I ever worked with told me, Gabe, I've actually lost over 100 pounds on my own. And when he told me this, I was like, well, why do you need my help? You lost over 100 pounds on your own. And what he told me was that he had hit a weight loss plateau. He'd been stuck at the same body weight for over 3 months. He was starving himself, but his weight wouldn't budge. His metabolism was totally shot. And when I asked him what he had been eating to lose that 100 pounds, he told me he was only eating about 700 calories per day. So yes, he lost 100 pounds, but he crashed his metabolism in the process by over restricting himself. And so he hit a weight loss plateau, got stuck, and was frustrated that he still didn't look the way he wanted to look. So instead of over restricting yourself, which is gonna crash your metabolism, eat more protein, which is gonna increase your metabolism. So after rethinking how we use food to fuel our metabolism, let's pivot to another vital point: exercise, but not just any exercise, and definitely not running on the treadmill. I had a client, Andre, who before working with me ran a mile a day every single day for a year, but didn't look any different. And after working with me, lost 10 pounds in his first 2 weeks without ever stepping foot on a treadmill. Now, the type of workouts that Andre were doing weren't cardio based, and they weren't HIIT based workouts like F45 or Orange Theory. He wasn't prancing around with the neighborhood moms. Come on, guys. If 80% of your training partners are the neighborhood moms, then what you're doing is for the neighborhood moms. Now, if you want to increase your metabolism so you can get leaner and look better and actually look like a man, then what you need to be doing is lifting weights. And I know you might be thinking, Gabe, you're just a young buck, you're a meathead, and you love lifting weights. And when I say lifting weights, I'm not saying you have to squat and deadlift until your eyes pop out of your head. I enjoy that from time to time. But what I am saying is that when you do resistance training, which could be lifting weights, it could also be calisthenics, what you're doing is you're building as much lean muscle mass as possible. And I promise you're not going to blow up to a 300-pound bodybuilder. You're not going to get too big. You're not going to get too bulky. I promise. If you look at my build and you don't think that that's too bulky, then you'd have to train at least as hard as I do, as consistently as I do, for as long as I've trained, with as much intelligence as I've trained with, in order to potentially look even like me. And I don't look like a 300-pound bodybuilder. So you're not going to look like a 300-pound bodybuilder by lifting weights either. That is a fear. That's the limiting belief that's holding you back from stepping foot in the gym in the first place. Anyway, when I say that you're building as much lean muscle mass as possible, what lifting weights does is stimulate the growth of your muscles. And when your muscles get bigger than they currently are, you burn more calories at rest than you currently are. You literally increase your metabolism by having more lean muscle mass. That's why every time I'm finishing a set and I really don't want to do that last rep, I remind myself that that last rep is going to add lean muscle mass to my frame. And every ounce of lean muscle mass means that I burn more calories at rest, which means I get to eat more food while losing fat and staying leaner. So you're not just burning more calories by doing the weightlifting workouts themselves, but you're putting on more lean muscle mass, which increases your metabolism overall. This right here is why some people seem to be able to eat whatever they want without getting fat. Literally, the reason that me, myself, 185-pound Gabe Pluguez, am able to eat more calories and lose weight faster than even somebody who's 250 pounds is because I have more lean muscle mass. So if you want to be one of those people who seems like they can eat whatever they want without getting any weight, lift weights, build lean muscle mass, and that will boost your metabolism. And speaking of some exercises that you can do, if you're on the go all the time and don't always have access to a gym, check out this video because these are 3 of the only chest, shoulder, and tricep bodyweight exercises you need to do.